And just so you know, I've started recording now, just in case you're wondering, because I'm recording on a different program. And let me set this spotlight for everyone. Okay, so that's it. Okay, so we'll get started now. Okay, so welcome everybody. Thanks for coming. This is Learn to Channel, and it's the class number 4. So this class is sort of dedicated to any questions anybody has on channeling, or it's also dedicated to, like, if you want to discuss any aspects of channeling in more depth, you want me to expand on anything. There might have been some things that I've went over briefly and you want me to go into more detail, that's perfectly fine for me to do this. We can have this as sort of like a bit of an open discussion as well if you want to do it that way. So Kate, so the first question is from Katrina. So Katrina, so you're asking about, so the question is about symbols. You're saying that you're getting symbols, but it's taking you a long time to decipher what the actual symbol is. What I would say, the advice I would give there, okay, if you're starting to, if that's the way the information's starting to come to you, is in symbols, you're starting to understand that's the way that you work, okay? So one of the good things that that tarot cards can be used for is getting used to symbols. Okay, because they work a lot with symbology, some of them more than others. So pick, if you can find some cards that have a lot of symbology in them, maybe start using those cards and start reading the book and seeing what the symbols stand for. Now, another thing you can do as well is you can start, say you start getting a symbol, as you can start looking into what is the meanings of that symbol. You can even go online and look at look up what's the meanings of that symbol. So if you get, like, you know, a bow and arrow, you know, you can have a look online and see what that says, and it'll start getting you into the mindset of, like, the symbology or the deeper meaning behind symbols. Okay, now when I'm doing that, what I'll do is, like I've said before, I would just feel, I'll feel it. I'll feel what the symbol is, and then it'll just come. I don't have to do it for too long, and it just comes, and I get an idea from it. And that's how I get my information, from the symbol. But you're saying that you get sort of stuck with it, and it can take like 5 minutes and there's nothing there. Another thing you could do if you wanted to try this as well, because like I say, like, learning your technique, a lot of it's about trial and error. You know, trying this, seeing if that works, and trying that and seeing if that works. Don't get stuck on doing one thing. And this is what I said right at the start of the course. Never try and sort of squeeze yourself into one way doing it because you think that's the way other people do it. And that you have to do it that way. Try different things out, and if you find that there's one way sort of working a bit better for you, then start going with that. So one other thing you can do as well is, say you get a symbol of like a bow and arrow. You could write it down on a piece of paper. You could even draw it on a piece of paper, and you could even write it out if you want. What does this mean? And then just start writing, and just start, like I said before, you have to get the flow going first. So just start writing anything, you know. Or it's a bow and arrow, it has 2 components to it, and, you know, it has a drawstring on it as well, and blah 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 blah. And then the next thing you know, you're just starting to write stuff about it, and then you've got it. So try that as well, because it seems like you're seeing the symbol, and you need to get like I said before, you got to get the wheel going, you got to get the energy flowing. So if you can start getting the energy flowing, you'll start getting the information coming as well. And the more that you do that, the more that you keep on practicing that, the faster the process will be, where you'll see a symbol and the information will just flow. So it's really training yourself to do that, training yourself to get the flow going. So try doing it with writing it down. Okay, you can also try doing it with speaking it as well. If you see a symbol, you can get a recorder on your phone, you know, a voice recorder, press a voice recorder, and just start talking like, oh yeah, I saw this symbol, and, you know, bow and arrow, maybe it's something to do with this on it, or maybe it's something to do with it. Just start, it doesn't matter what you say, as long as you start talking and get some sort of a flow going, it'll start coming after that. So I don't know if you want to speak a bit more about it.
Okay, I think the problems comes because I am feeling more anger and frustrated because I don't get the the meaning right away, because it's like the beings are Chinese and I am Portuguese and I don't understand their symbol, the meaning of their symbol.
Yeah.
So I am pissed myself, so it's blocking more. Thank you.
Yeah, that's good. You're understanding that then. Because, yeah, that's what happens. If you start getting angry or like frustrated with it, you're blocking. It's like I say, it's like you're opening up to get the information. But as soon as you start like getting angry or frustrated, you start lowering your vibration, you start closing up. And then the information has nothing to come through. You know, it can come through, but it's like a tiny channel that it can come through. And so it's like, you know, it's really hard to get the information. Like you say, it takes like 5 minutes for you to get it. But if you just stay in an open state, and that's why I've been talking about raising your vibration first, because when you raise your vibration, you're in a very open state. And then you're up there and you're light in vibration, you're open. And then when the information comes, it's much easier for it to flow in. And even if you're not getting it, you can still maintain that open state because you're in such a heightened state. So even if the information doesn't come, it's not... When you channel, you can't force information. You can't like demand information, you know, and be like, right, it's got to come, because it doesn't work that way. Some people, like I said, when I get a download, when I get an information download and I feel like, you know, some sensation in my face or in my head somewhere and I'm getting a download, I don't know what it is. I got no idea what it is. And I just have to be like, right, I got information there, you know, and maybe I'll find out what it is at some point. Maybe I won't. It's just the way it works for me. So you have to just accept it. It's like, you know, the information is coming and I know I'm going to get it, but whether or not I'm aware that that was a download, most of the time I don't. Sometimes I can, but usually when I'm aware of what it is, what the download was, it's through logic, just there, like through just analysis of it. Like, oh yeah, that's interesting stuff. Like I might sit down later and start typing something out, and I'll be like, oh, that must have been what that download was before, or it might be that I get this new concept later on in the day, and I'm like, oh, and then I remember, oh yeah, I got a big download earlier. That must have been what the download was. Or it might be that at the time I'm starting to think about I'm starting to explore something, some new idea, and then I start getting a download, and I'll know like, oh, that's something to do with what I'm thinking about, or I'll guess that's what it is. And yeah, I might start getting more information on it later, or even just after that. And so I can sort of work out what it is, but I can't really tell exactly. Like I can't. Some people can get a download and be like, boom, that's I'm getting a download and it's about this. And that always amazes me, because it doesn't work like that for me at all. So you have to accept it as well. When information comes to you, you just have to sort of accept it. You can't sort of force it and be sort of demanding, like, God, I've got to get that information. I have to know what it is. When it comes to you, just allow it to just take its time and to come in the time that it needs to take to come to you. Because you have to remember as well, you're in the initial stages of learning to receive information or learning to channel, and so it will take a little bit longer, and so that's okay. The way that you get it, it's like I've said, you just stay in that sort of open state, and you just stay open so you can receive. So that's the way to go about doing that. So symbols are a lot of the time when you get symbols, it's coming from your highest self, the higher mind, because that's the way the higher mind works. It works in symbols. So not always, but a lot of the time when you get it, it can come that way from the highest mind. So it might be coming from your higher mind, the information you're getting. But it can also be from beings. Some people get them from beings a lot as well when they connect to beings. But yeah, oracle cards would be helpful for you, because it's starting to get you into, you know, starting to work with symbols a lot and starting to understand them. So that's what I would advise there, Caitlin. So, okay, has anybody else in the room got any questions that they want me to answer just now? Okay, there was some questions that Marie had posted in the community, the community Facebook group during the week, and I'll start going through those questions now. If anybody else in the room gets any questions, you can put your hand up, or if they want me to talk about any subject as well, you can put your hand up, and then I'll let you ask what it is. Okay, so first question that Marie had asked was, do physical sensations have any meaning? Any way to differentiate between us and another being speaking through us? Okay, so that's more than one question. So I'll start from the first one. Okay, so do the physical sensations have any meaning? They can for some people, but for me it doesn't. I mean, it doesn't. It's not like they touch my arm and that means something. Like it's not like they are, pulling on my ear and that means something else. They don't communicate with me in that way. You can speak now if you want to, Maria. If you want to clarify on that.
Yeah, I just wanted to make a comment in the sensations because I noticed lately, like I began to notice this when I was practicing mediumship, that whenever I would connect with spirit to, give a message, I would sometimes feel like I had like something touch my right ear.
Okay.
And then since I began taking your classes like the entire month now, most times I feel like it feels like somebody's putting like cotton wool, like this little bit of cotton in my ear. Like it feels light and fuzzy, which is really strange. So I cannot, I've been asking like who or what it is, but I'm not getting anything. But I do feel that feeling is kind of like letting me know that there is a connection to kind of like aligning my frequency to channel. I don't know, something like that.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say to you. Most likely they're just letting you know that they're there. So so that you're not like, oh, is this really happening? Is
yeah,
you know what I mean? So it's most likely what they're doing. That's usually what it is when you feel somebody like touching you. It's usually it's usually a spirit letting you know that they're there. The guides do this a lot. Sometimes some people get pinched a little bit. But yeah, that's what it is. Your ear, I don't know why exactly you're feeling like cotton wool in your ear. It could be something to do with your sinuses, because your third eye is opening up, because your sinus system's all connected to your third eye. So it could be something to do with that. But I feel like it feels more like it's more like, you said, them just letting you know that they're there.
Yeah, so. Because it only happens when I'm actually like trying to connect, or I'm sending healing to somebody. It's mostly like when I say, okay, I'm gonna do this like energy work or channeling or whatnot, that's when I feel like something's put inside my ear, like the opening of the ear. And then other times, what I was saying about the energies, it's like obviously because I've asked to open more, I'm feeling a lot more like a tingling, like what you described, warm on the top of my head, on the crown, or the upper body, sometimes heating up and things like that.
Yeah, I get a lot of sensations when I channel, when I do energy work as well. I get a lot of sensations. After a while, after you've been doing energy work, or you do channeling for quite a long time, you start not noticing the sensations as much. It just becomes normal, and you don't really. It's not as obvious to you what sensations you're feeling. It's like, when you put a t-shirt on, you don't feel the sensation of the t-shirt on your body all the time. You know what I mean? It's not like you're aware of it all the time. But if you've never wore a t-shirt before and you put a t-shirt on, you're going to be aware of it all the time. Like, oh God, I've got this thing on my body. I can feel it all the time. So, that's after a while you won't really notice it so much, and it won't be so much a distraction for you. So, you'll get a lot of sensations. I mean, I've had people feel like when I've been channeling, feeling like people touching me, pinching me and things like that as well. Sometimes I've had the same where it's like, a little tickle on the back of your ear, things like that. So, you feel like, you sometimes get like some beings like really open up your heart chakra, so you'll get like huge floods of love. It's more so when you're doing healing work, you feel that I feel these sort of sensations. But if you're channeling, if you're going into trance channeling, you're going to feel the energy a lot more than if you're conscious channeling, because when you trance channel, you take the entirety of the being within you, and it's like I've said before, it's almost like a hologram. of a being, and it's like it sits inside you, or it comes inside you, and that's the way I feel it, and I can feel its arms inside my arms and its fingers and everything. And you feel the energy of it. You actually feel the energy of it, and when it's moving, you're sort of it's as if you're, for me, it's as if I'm following the energy, following the way that it moves. And I could stop if I wanted. I could force myself against that, but I don't want to, because I want to channel. So I follow the movement of it, and that's the way I move. And it's the same like when you see me doing like energy work. That's how I'm moving, because I'm just moving with the energy. I'm not so much taking a being inside me all the time, but my hands are flowing in a way, and it's just flowing with the energy. And I just like my hands are doing it just now, and you can feel energy, and you can just let yourself move with it. It's a good technique if you want to try it, if you want to start getting more used to doing that. It's just to sit and just to allow your hands just to float, and just to see where they want to go. Just feel and just let them move, because that's the way my hands want to move just now. And yeah, and you can start following energy, and it starts flowing in different ways. And you can just start following it, and it's a form of channeling, you know. It's starting to get you used to like moving your body with energy, and starting to flow with the energy and not resist it, and allow you and the energy to come into sync with each other, because that's what you basically do when you channel. You're syncing yourself with the energy of somebody else. The energy, the information flows through the energy, so you can do a little practice like that. You can also do where you can like, you know, you can create spheres, and you can like open up your hand chakras, and you can start creating like spheres of energy, you know. And that can be helpful as well if you want to start taking the beings more within you when you channel and feeling them within you. It can be helpful. It can be a good start to that. So sensations, you will get sensations when you channel, but like I say, it's far more so if you're trance channeling than when you're conscious channeling. And if you're an empath, you're going to feel it a lot more as well. Even if you're conscious channeling, you'll still feel the energy a lot more, because that's the way you work. You work by energy mostly. So, okay. So the next question Marie asked during the week was, any way to differentiate between us and another being speaking through us? Okay, so this is, it's an interesting question, this, okay? You can't tell the difference, and the difference is in the energy. There's a different quality to the energy when it's you and when it's another being. You'll start feeling that. The more that you start channeling, the more you'll start feeling that, and the more you'll start to recognize, like, oh, that's not me, that's a different being. And especially when you start trance channeling, when you take them in and let them speak, or like even trance channeling to a degree, letting them say the words they want to say them, you'll start using words that you might have heard before, but you never use. Or you might even use a word now and again that you don't even know the meaning of the word, and you'll have to go and look it up later. And it's good when that happens, because you get a lot of self-confidence in what you're doing. You get you lose that self-doubt about, like, am I really channeling here, or is this something else? It starts giving you that reinforcement. So it's good when that happens. But if you're saying it the way you want to say it when you're getting the communication, which is how I usually do it, the reason that I know, okay, and you'll see me doing this when I channel, you'll see me stopping sometimes. I'll be like halfway starting to say something, and then I'll be like, oh, wait a minute, because I can feel when I start saying that, I can feel there's something no right there. It's like it's my consciousness coming into it, and I can feel, because it's like awkward when I say that. The energy of it's really awkward, and I can feel that's not right. And so what I'll do is I'll come, and this happens with me when I'm not taking my time. And because you'll see when I channel a lot, I'm stopping and starting when I channel, because often I'm doing events where I'm asking, I'm not just in a channeled state the whole time. I'm stopping, I'm channeling for somebody, then I'm stopping, then I'm asking somebody else the next question, and then I'm going back in. So sometimes I don't take enough time to go back in. And what happens is I start talking, and I'm starting to get the flow going, and I'm starting to take it in a direction it shouldn't go, and that's not what they're wanting to say, and I can feel it, and it's awkward, and it almost feels like I hit a dead end with it. It's almost like that. It's like, no, that's not right. And you'll see me doing it if you ever watch my channel, and sometimes I stop myself and I'll go back and I say, okay, just wait a minute, and I'll feel in a bit more, and I'll get myself in more of a channel state, and then okay, it's there. And when I'm saying it, it feels very much like a flow, like an open flow. It's like, it's easy to say, and the energy is easy, it flows with it. So you'll feel that when you do it. It's more subtle in the beginning, but you'll start picking it up. You will start recognizing it. When I first started channeling, I could recognize the difference. And yeah, you'll pick that up over time, and it'll get stronger over time, because you start becoming more sensitive to the energy over time, and you start recognizing the energy more over time as well. It's very subtle in the beginning when you learn to channel, but it gets stronger as you do it, because you start, like I say, you start recognizing what it is. And because you're recognizing it and you focus on it, it becomes bigger. And that, a lot of that happens just, you don't even have to think about it. You know, it's just second nature to you. You know, that's it, and that's the way it is. So you can tell the difference. Sometimes you can end up, how can I put this? You can get information sometimes that's not quite what the beings are telling you, and it can, this is a wee bit more technical, or a wee bit more advanced in like a beginning sort of introduction to when you first start channeling. But after a while, once you start channeling, there is times when you can start getting information and you're sort of deciphering it wrong. It's quite tricky to explain this. I'll try, just give me a moment, I'll try and think of like a sort of an example for this. So, it's very tricky to explain, but you can sort of, it can be that you're getting information, and it might be information about, for example, it could be information about a dog, and because the being's giving you information about a dog, you might associate that with something that something that you know about dogs, because like I said before, your belief systems come into this, and then you start going down this path where information you already understand about dogs, and that's not really what it's trying to give you. It's giving you that, and it might be giving you something about the belief that you have about it, something different about it, and because you've got a belief about it, you end up sticking on the belief that you've got, and you can end up sort of getting stuck in sort of ruts with things like that, because you can, how can I put it, you can then take, you can, because it can be a little bit, sometimes it can be a wee bit more tricky to feel the difference between the energies. You can still feel the difference between the energies, but because you have a strong belief about something, and that's coming into play, the strength of the belief can sort of carry it on. Like I was saying before, like when I feel it, I feel like, you know, that's not the right way, because I can feel the energy's wrong, and so I come back, and then I allow it to go in the way it wants to go. But if you have a really, really strong belief about something, it can get your belief's so strong, it can sort of push through that, and it can keep the information going that way, which isn't quite right. And you can sort of get thrown off a bit. You can sometimes give information then that's not quite accurate. It's not quite what they're wanting to give. And the only way to get around this is by starting to understand yourself. And it's a big part of channeling this. It's a really big part. It's starting to look at your beliefs and starting to work on your beliefs, because becoming a channeler, because beliefs come into channeling so much, your strongest beliefs will play a part in that. It's very important for you to identify what your strongest beliefs are that are limiting beliefs, the strongest limiting beliefs that you have, these core limiting beliefs. It's very important to know what they are, and then that way when you start giving information and it's the belief is coming into that, you can recognize it and you can stop, because you'll be able to tell, like, or you'll even be able to feel the energy of it as something not quite right. And if you can also feel like, oh yeah, this is my, like, this is lining up with that core belief that I have, you can sort of pause yourself and come back and take a moment, you know, recenter yourself, and then allow it to go, allow it to move in the direction that feels right. So that's why it's very, very important. If you're a channeler, if you're going to be channeling a lot, it's very important that you also do work on your limiting beliefs. You also work on it. I'm not saying that you're going to be able to, you may be able to completely transform the belief. You always can, but even if you're working on if you've identified a limiting belief and you're working on it and it's still a work in progress, it still doesn't completely transform, it's still the right thing to be doing. It's still good that you've started working on that, because you're starting to understand what the belief is. And like I said, it's good for identifying when you're starting to go off track. And it's also, when you start working on the belief, it lessens the belief in a way. It's sort of, it doesn't have the same strength as it had before. Whereas it won't have the same effect upon you. So there's you're less likely to get thrown off by that belief. And so it's very important. You always have to do this. If you learn to channel, you always have to include into it. And this is more for like, not so much when you're first starting off, but this is more like an advanced teaching when you're starting to do it, you know, after you've learnt to actually channel. Then you need to start working on your limiting beliefs as well. You need to start identifying them and start working on transforming them. It's very important that for like long-term channelers. Okay. Is there any questions anybody's got about that, or anything else that I spoke about there? Okay. So like in the beginning, like I say, you shouldn't worry too much. And it's something that happens. Everybody gets like this. They're very focused. They start focusing on, when they learn to channel, on getting the accurate information. And it's not about that in the beginning. The very first stage is just getting the flow going. That's the first stage. And feeling the flow. Because if you, like I said, even if your beliefs are coming into it, the way that I can differentiate is because I can feel the difference in the energy. I can feel that's not the flow. And then I'll come back to myself and I'll get back into the flow, and that's where the flow is, and then it's just there and it's flowing. So you have to know what that is. You have to know how that feels to be able to differentiate between what's correct information and what's not, or what's accurate information or what's not. So in the beginning, you want to understand how that feels when you're in your flow. So that's all you want to do. You want to get the flow going and keep it going. Okay. Even in the beginning, if it's going off a bit, it doesn't matter, because it'll come back round, and it'll still come back round to it. The beings will do that. Like I said, even if myself was to start channeling, and my beliefs, that one of my strong limiting beliefs started coming into that, and I just kept on going with it, it would still come back round eventually. It would come back round, and it would come back into the path, and because that's how the guides will do that. They'll bring it back round for you. So it's important for you in the beginning just to understand, to get energy flowing. That's what you want to do in the beginning. You just want to get flowing, and through actually getting it flowing, you'll feel that at times that it's off and at times it's on. And it's important for that whole process for you to understand that different feeling, because if you don't understand the different feeling, you're not going to be able to catch it when you're able to get in a flow and you go off. You see, so that's it. In the first, to learn to channel in the beginning, you want to just get the flow going. Even if it's off a bit, it doesn't matter. Just get the flow going, and that's it. And if it feels like it's completely off, then just take a moment and just come back to yourself. Do the breathing techniques. You see me doing that if I start saying something and I stop, I'll usually come back to myself, and I'll usually do some breathing techniques just to get myself into more of a trance state and to get in a bit deeper. And then I'll start feeling it, and then I'll start letting it flow. Okay, someone's got a question.
Yes. Could we try to set the flow with, like, for example, a yes/no question now?
Okay, so one of the things that I think I spoke about this before, this is another way that you can sort of differentiate between two energies. What's a flowing energy and what's like sort of, something else. Is say somebody asks you a question, right, and it's a yes no question. They say like you know, they say, for example, maybe you're starting to feel their guide, and you're saying to them like, I can feel one of your guides, and they'll say, is that a male or a female? And so what you can do is you can put the two in front of you. You can have the male and the female, and you can feel which one is it, and you can feel which way is the energy going, and it's that way, you know, it's that one. And that gets you used to that, getting into that flow as well, and feeling what the difference is. Because what you're doing is you're reaching your energy out to that one. Is it that one or is it that one? And whichever one it is, it's like it's open, and you just flow right. The flow goes. And it's the same when you're getting information going, like I talked before. You're reaching it out, and it's flowing in a certain way. So it is a good technique. We can try later, and we can start doing this when we start doing a little bit more practicing at the end of the class. And yeah, we can pair up, and we can do this where we can ask, is it this or that, you know, and we can see how it goes, because it is a good way of getting used to that energy. So okay, I'll go to Marie's next question as well that she had posted in the Facebook group. Okay, so why are so many of the channels I've come across vegan or vegetarian, avoid drugs, alcohol, gluten, even caffeine? Okay, so when you start to get in a channel, and if you're starting to channel a lot, your vibration's going up. It starts going up. Now, because your vibration goes up, you start to come sort of more into alignment, because anything that, when your vibration goes up, there's things that beliefs that you have within you, or there's also certain energies you have within you. But when your vibration increases and you start to expand out, there's certain beliefs that are limiting beliefs that will come up to the surface, because they're at a lower vibration. So when your vibration goes up, they can't be there anymore because they're at a low vibration. If they were to stay there, they would actually end up pulling you down. And you see, this does happen when, you know, you start raising your vibration up. Your limiting beliefs will come up, and if you don't work on them and start doing types of transformation of that belief, it'll pull you back down with it. Eventually you'll go back down. And so you have to look at these limiting beliefs as they come up. Now, there's also, what happens is when your vibration's going up, you're also coming into more alignment with your core self, with your higher self. And there's certain practices that are more in tune, that you're more in tune with, that you're not doing. And often these are things like, you know, eating differently, or, you know, taking drugs, or whatever it is. But that being said, there's all, like, for what's right for some people isn't right for other people. So some people might stop drinking coffee when they start to get into channeling. But there'll be other people that won't. There's some people that coffee would probably help them channel. And I know for sure it will. I've had it happen to me. I don't drink coffee all the time, but I've drank coffee before. I think I've mentioned this, but I've drank coffee before. And it's put me in a channeled state. So it's not, you shouldn't think that you have to do something to be a channeler. You shouldn't, you have to start eating differently, or you have to start, you know, doing anything differently. Do what you feel like doing. If you start feeling like you want to stop drinking alcohol, then do it. If you start feeling like you want to, you know, start eating vegetarian food or vegan or whatever it is, then start doing that. You have to just do what's right for you, because you have to you're coming into alignment with yourself, and you have to feel yourself. And yeah, that's what it's really about. There's no real, like, there's nothing I would say that you shouldn't really do to be a channeler. I mean, if you're using drugs a lot, like excessively, it can have an effect upon your channeling, because you've got less of a, how can I put this? It's like when you open yourself up, you naturally open yourself up. You're doing it. You're using a technique, and you're opening yourself up, and you have got control over that to a degree. Like I said, you know, you can always close yourself off whenever you want to. But the thing is, when you start taking drugs, like say you're drinking alcohol, when you open yourself up, you might find it a lot harder to close yourself down. And so if you do open yourself up and you are feeling like you want to stop, you might not be able to stop as easily. Now that might be a good thing for you, because it might teach you a lesson like on how to stay open, and it might teach you a lesson on how to be in a trance state. If you're not a trance channeler, you might end up going into a trance state, and then you'll learn from that yeah, this is how to actually go into a trance state, not to take the drug, to take the alcohol to get into a trance state, but that's how you do it energetically. That's how it feels when you open up. So it can teach you that, but if you start using it like all the time, over time it can have an effect on you where it's like it's not going to benefit you as much, because you can naturally channel yourself. Everybody naturally channels. It's part of being human. We do it every day. So you don't have to use something to get yourself, like a substance, to get yourself into a channeled state every time. They can help if they're used once every now and again to teach you something new. But never ever think that you can only channel by taking something. If you start doing that, it's never going to work out well for you, because your higher self, it doesn't want you. It's a limiting. You've got a limiting belief there, and the higher self will show you that you've got a limiting belief by creating some situation that doesn't feel nice, so that you start getting that lesson. So, okay, Marie, you've got your hand up. So, what question?
Yeah, I just had a question on that comment you're making on whether, like in my view, right? I wonder if somebody who's either giving a psychic reading, channeling, or whatnot, are going to be as accurate while they're under, let's say drugs or alcohol. Would that kind of like diminish their abilities?
Yeah, you have to sort of take that on a case by case basis. It's like, it depends on the individual. There's so many factors that would come into that, but for some it'll make them channel more accurately. For some it'll make them channel less accurately. It depends on how the drug affects you as an individual, and there's all manner of things. It depends on what your beliefs are, and all manner of things. So there's no one answer suits all there. It depends. Usually if I've taken any substance, like if I take a substance now, I just go into a channeled state. I can't really stop that from happening. And so I can't really use substances like I couldn't do it recreationally, because I'd go into a channeled state. And it's because of, like I've said before, I've created these pathways now. And because I've created these pathways, if I take any substance that alters my consciousness in any way, all substances are going to open you up in some way. And what happens is I'll open up, and then the pathways are all open. And it's happened to me before, where I've went to use a substance like recreationally, and I've just started channeling. Like I've said before, like it happened to me when I drank coffee once, because I'm not used to drinking coffee. I don't drink alcohol, but I've drank alcohol before, and it didn't happen to me like initially when I drank the alcohol, but after the next day when I woke up in the morning, I was in this full-on channeled state, and I was just like channeling loads of information, and it was coming real clear. But saying that, since I've actually channeled, there's been times when, like, I went through a period when I stopped channeling for about 2 years, and within that period I drank, like, there was 2 occasions I drank, and I never channeled during those times. I never did that to me during those times, but my vibration had shifted because I wasn't channeling all the time. Like I say, when you channel all the time, your vibrations, it goes up, and you're in a very open sort of state all the time. Not an open state like you're when you're actually channeling, but you're more open than you normally would be. And so during those 2 years, because I'm not as open and I wasn't doing any spiritual practices at the time, my vibration was lowered. And so I wasn't slipping into it as easily. So, but the times that I've used substances, when I've been in a when I've been doing spiritual practice, it just puts me into a complete channeled state. Or I'll go into like there'll always be beings there. Sometimes it'll be healing that happens to me, like, and they'll start, they'll come through me and they'll do healing on. I'll do healing on myself with them working through me and all around me. And it's just the way it works for me now. It's just part of. And I don't know, I'm not sure exactly how that works for other channelers. I would think it would be the same. I've not spoke to a lot of other channelers about that. But that's just the way it works for me. But like I said, I've not got a tolerance at all as well, because I don't use any substances in my life. So I don't have any type of tolerance. So any substances, they affect you very differently if you do it just once on a blue moon, as opposed to doing it once every few days or every day or whatever. They affect you completely differently. So there's that factor coming into it as well when I'm talking about my own experiences. So, like I say, you have to sort of take this on a case-by-case basis when you're, determining this, how they affect you, how clear the information is. But for me, and I would say the same for all other channelers, people that are channeling regularly, it's going to allow the information to come through more clearly, because you're going to go into more of a trance state, because you're altering your state. When you take a substance, you're altering your state, and it's allowing the information to come through, and you're opening up other channels there and allowing information to come through. Telepathy for me is like really clear, like really, really clear. I can just hear somebody talking in my head, just like so clear. And yeah, it's sort of the comparison would be like, the information I get when I'm channeling, it's like, it'd be as if there was like a bit of cloud around me. And then if I took a substance, it'd be like that cloud's just gone. And it's just like somebody sitting next to me talking to me. So yeah, that's what I'd say with that. I mean, I'm not advising people to go and do it, especially not in the beginning. I wouldn't advise you to do it in the beginning, because you're learning to channel. You want to learn how to do it yourself. You don't want to start, using coffee or any other sort of substances as some crutch for you to channel. But that being said, if you drink coffee all the time, it's probably going to be better for you to have a cup of coffee, to drink coffee the day that you're channeling, because if you don't drink it that day, your system's going to it's not going to be feeling right. You're going to feel completely off. So there's all these factors, you have to sort of think, it definitely goes on a case-by-case basis, all this stuff. So, okay, any other questions on that or comments or anything? Okay. And yeah, Marie's just asked, she was asking more questions about that in the Community One Facebook group about will what we ingest affect the vibration and the information we channel? Yeah, I think I've sort of covered that. So is remote viewing a type of channeling? Yes, remote viewing is a type of channeling, because you're going into an altered state to get the information. So you go into an altered state to get information. It's the same as channeling. You're going into I'm saying an altered state. It's just the same as a trance state. Going into a type of trance state to receive information. So yeah, it's exactly the same thing. Can you explain the difference between channeling and mediumship? I feel with channeling, we're dealing with higher vibration information like 5D, but with mediumship, it's more 3D, 4D. Okay, so mediumship and channeling. Me personally, I don't believe there's any difference between mediumship and channeling. Mediumship is it's a term that's used for people that are for any people that connect with spirit. Okay, so especially with people that have passed over, and that's what mediumship is more associated with. Mediumship isn't so much associated with galactic beings or any other types of beings. It's not so much. It's more for, people. You would be doing a reading for someone who's had maybe a family member that's passed over and they want to get communication. That's what mediumship sort of is mostly associated with. But that's still channeling. It's this exactly the same thing. It works in exactly the same way. See, the thing is this. Channeling is all, a lot of things are just channeling, okay? And we have different categories for them, okay? And if you start believing that, you know, it's all the same thing. If you start believing that, you know, or doing a past life reading is one type of channeling, and then doing a reading for somebody that's passed over is another type of reading, and then doing a reading for like an ET, that's a different type of channeling. If you start doing that, you start sort of switching, you're creating walls by your beliefs and what you can actually do. Because if you can channel, if you can do one of those things, you can do all of them, because it's all the same thing. All you're doing is opening up and receiving information. That's it. You might be receiving it from different sources, but it doesn't matter. You do that anyway. Even if you're doing a reading for, say, people that have passed over, you're still receiving it from different sources. You might be receiving it from information from angels sometimes. You might be receiving information from one person that's passed over. You might be receiving information from another person that's passed over. And they all have different types of energies. And so you're always having to switch where you're getting the information from. Now, it might be that you're only working with your guide, because some people work this way. They work only with the guide, and their guide gives them the information, and any other beings that want to come and give information to you, they work through the guide. They'll give the guide your guide information, and then the guide gives you it. But that being said, your guide can still connect with any other beings, or getting information from any other place, if it's past lives or people that have passed over or whatever. So you can always do it. It's all the same. It's all the same thing. So recognize that when you're starting to get into channeling, that you can get information from anywhere. No one thing's harder than anything else. It's not like it's harder to get past life information than it is getting any other information. It's all the same thing. So recognize that. Recognize your ability is very broad, because all you're doing is getting information, and information is infinite. So, okay, any questions anybody has on that? Okay, it seems like that's the last question so far. So there's not anything else that I have to share with you. Everything I've shared with you through this course is everything I can help you with. I mean, there is other stuff I could share with you, but it would take questions for me to even know what they are. Okay, everything that's been given so far is a very, very good starting point for channeling. Now, after you learn to channel, there's more that you can do once you actually start getting used to channeling, and actually getting used to getting into a flow and starting to get, like, you know, starting to do it. Then there is stages you can take. There is more you can do after that to sort of improve on it. But that's not for this course. That's another course, and that's another type of training. But for you to start, everything that I've given so far is exactly everything you need. So thanks everybody for coming, and yeah, I wish you all the best with your channeling ability. So what we can do now is we can do some practicing. If you want to do some practicing, it's up to you if you want to do that or not. So if we're going to do some practicing, there's different ways we can do this. We can do it like, we can do the breakout rooms again if you want to do the breakout rooms. Or if you want to, we can also do, like I'd spoke about before, where we can do, you know, we can, and I've never done this before, so I'd just would totally be making it up as we go along, but we could do it where there's like, you know, is it that or that? And you start feeling what one it is, or is it that and that, or we can start feeling which one it is. It's up to you guys if you want to do practice just now, or if you want to, if you don't want to do it.
I'm good to practice. I can practice.
Okay. Just a moment. There's another thing that I'm doing within the community. I'll explain this to you as well. So the events that happen on it's my Wednesday, it's your Tuesday. In the US, it's your Tuesday. So those events, the ACT events, they're the advanced channeling training. Now, the way that the advanced channeling training works is, it's for people that can already get information coming. They've been channeling for themselves for a while, and they get information going, but they never channeled for, maybe they have channeled for other people, but it's been very small amount. And this only really works as well for people that are conscious channelers, not so much trance channelers. So what happens is, I do an event, it's just, usually it's just a Q&A. So I've done this training with people before, and I've actually like took them through the process of like doing like, you know, just a Q&A, then doing like crystal readings, doing past life reading event. And by doing that, it gets the people ready for, it gets them used to doing different types of channeling, because like I said, there's no real different types, it's all the same thing. And so the good thing about it is, what happens is I do an event like I've been doing so far, and then that person that's wanting to learn, they would also channel. So say somebody asks a question like, you know, what can my guides, who's my guides, I would start giving information, and then the other person, after I'm finished, then I'll give the other person, it's their turn. If they want to give any information, if they got anything, they can share it as well. And that's how it goes. That's how it starts off. First few events will be like that, because the person's usually scared to speak up first. After a while, they'll start realizing that they're getting the same information as me, or they're getting the same information as me or more, because the guides start actually regulating this. And what happens is the guides will actually give me partial information, and then they'll give them that same information but more. And so what happens is, even if they don't share the information, even if I give the partial the information I receive, the partial part, I give that, and then I say, look, did you get any information as well? Do you want to share? If they say no, they're going to kick themselves later, because they're going to be like, I got all the same stuff as you, and there was all this other stuff as well. And they'll feel like, oh, sure, I've done that. And that's part of what you go through when you learn to channel. It happens to everyone, where they're like, oh, sure, I've said that. And so the guides, they actually regulate it. Where in the beginning, you're giving us both the same information. And then as it goes on, you know, through over a period of like a month or so, they'll, you know, maybe the first 1 or 2 events, they give us the same information. And then they start giving me partial information. And then what happens later is, sometimes when somebody asks a question, is they start not giving me any information at all. And the guides tell me, it's not for you to answer this one. And I'll say, okay, have you got any information? And they got all the information. So the guides actually, when I first designed this, and I was first going to do this, I was going to start doing this myself. And I was going to start being like, right, there's going to be some times when I'm just going to have to hold back and just let them answer. And then I realized the guides just, they had it all sorted out, and they do it all themselves, which makes my job easier as well. So it's sort of regulated by them. And the guides, they tell me what's going on as well, instead of giving me information on what the answer should be. They're telling me other stuff about what's going on, what they're doing. So it's a good way for people to learn to channel for other people, for groups especially, and also for doing like private sessions, because doing readings for groups and doing readings in a private session is pretty much the same. It's a wee bit more, like, it can be a bit more intense, you could say, when you do a reading in a private session, because the information's more direct, and there's also information you'll get that's obviously personal information as well. So sometimes it can be emotional for people, and the energy can sometimes be a bit higher as well. So there is a little bit of a difference in it, but it's the same sort of thing. You're sitting receiving information, and you're sharing the information with the person. So it's very good for, people start, if there's somebody that can channel already themselves and they want to start moving more into doing like channeling for groups and channeling in private sessions, it's very good for people starting to move into doing that. The reason it's so effective, this, is because it completely takes away any of the fear that you have in the beginning. I mean, you'll still have fear in the beginning because you'll feel, most people feel under pressure when they are expected to give information. But because I'm there and I can give the information and I can receive the information and give it, it takes a whole lot of that pressure off. And so it's almost like having a safety net there all the time. And it makes it a lot easier to get information flowing that way, because you're not in a fear state anymore when you're channeling. So it's very beneficial for, like I say, for people who want to sort of, especially people who want to start doing this as like a business. It can be, it's a very fast way of going from, being able to channel already yourself to being able to channel for, for others, and being able to do a lot of different types of channeling. Like I say, it's all one thing, but doing like past life readings, doing, Q&A, connecting with people's guides, all these different sort of styles, if you want to call it that, or categories. But it teaches you all that real fast, and it's an extremely accelerated learning path to being a channeler, like a public channeler as a service for others. The reason, but because it's so accelerated, it has to be slowed down a bit. It actually has to be slowed down, because what happens is the individual that's learning, their self-identity changes so quickly. They've gone from somebody that they already feel themselves to be and identify with, to then, I'm now a channeler, and I'm now a public channeler. And that's a big jump. And so there has to be breaks during the learning, like during the coaching or the training. There has to actually be breaks between it to allow the individual to acclimatise to who they are, and also start getting used to the energies as well, because as you start opening up, the more that you start channeling and opening up, the more energy you're starting to receive in your day-to-day life. And it can be quite a shift, that from where you are to being a full-on channeler, like, and doing events regularly. So there has to be some periods, some back-off periods, where the person learning to channel can acclimatise to all these changes. It's really important. So, but yeah, and what would usually take like a year, you can do it in like 3 months. So it's a very accelerated path, but like I say, the 3 months would have to be slowed down. So, so yeah, if anybody's interested in that, then yeah, you can get in touch with me and we can discuss that further. So already Marie is wanting to do this, and Katie wants to do this as well. So next month, when I'm doing the ACT events next month, Marie and Katie are going to do Week About. They're going to practice as well. So, so yeah, that's the way that's the way it works. So that's like I was saying like earlier, that's the sort of next stage to, once you've learnt to channel, that's the sort of next stage in training that you would receive on how to become better at channeling. Most people just do it themselves. Most people just, like, most of the channelers you see, they themselves are doing it. They themselves have, like, they just put themselves out there. They just started doing events. They just started doing private sessions, and that's how they done it. And they just learnt as they went along, which is completely fine to do that way. But there's a lot of people that that are scared to do that. And I can totally understand that. And if they're scared to do it, it's good to, this system helps them to, get over that fear and to do it in a way it's sort of like a stepping stone, So so that's what the ACT events actually are, advanced channeling training. So yeah, if anybody's interested in it, like get in touch with me and we can talk about doing it. So okay, so I don't know if anybody else is wanting to learn the channel just now, Ryan. So I don't know if we'll be able to do this just now. So the practice room that's been made as well, and the way that I learned in the beginning was I was part of a community, and I spoke about this before. I spoke about it in the talk that I did yesterday. So I was part of a community, okay, and there was a few people that were like, channelers, public channelers, and it was all the sort of followers of these public channelers. It was sort of like, everybody used to chat in these chat boxes, and there was, like I say, back then there wasn't any Zoom back then. There was only Google Hangouts. So I started getting to know some of the people in the groups and in the sort of community, and I started doing Hangouts with them. We would just do Hangouts and chat. And that's how I started learning the channel, because I would do it just like, just me and one other person, or me and a couple of other people. And I would just start channeling. And sometimes I'd be in groups and I would start getting information. I'd be chatting to people and I'd start getting information. So I'd tell them the information. And I know that yous are starting to get that now. Some of yous are starting to get that. And you're saying it to me like when I'm doing when I've been channeling, I know some of yous are starting to get information as well, flowing to you. And that's the beginning. That's the starting stages. That's the starting stages of you channeling. It's what happens in the beginning. You start getting information as well, because the guides start doing that. They start giving you stuff, and so that's how I started off. I started off like that. So it's a good sign if you're starting to get that happening. It's a good sign that things are starting to change for you, and you're starting to open up, and you're starting to develop those sort of channeling abilities. So it takes time, it's not something that's going to happen overnight. It takes time for you to learn to channel, for the information to start coming in. And a lot of that's because it's like you're clearing out these channels. They've got to get cleaned, and they also got to, some more of them got to get developed as well. So, yeah, don't put too much pressure on yourself as well when you're learning to channel. Like, that's got to happen. I mean, I did this as well, and a lot of people do this because you're so eager to get information. You sort of put pressure on yourself and you try and push to get the information, and it's not about, you can't push. If you push, it makes it harder. You have to, it's about relaxing and opening. When I first started doing energy, I used to push the energy. I used to feel like I had to push the energy out, and I had to be like, push. I used to get real tired, physically tired after doing healing on people. And then I realised after a while, like, that's the wrong way to do it. And I started relaxing, and just like relaxing as much as I could when I do it. And I realised the more I was relaxing, the more the energy was flowing through me. And if I could relax, so when I do energy, I'm really, really relaxed when I do energy. And it allows the energy to flow, like tons of it flow through you. So, and it's, sending energy is the same as channeling. It's very, very similar. It's just an energy flow. So that's the way to channel. You relax and you don't force it. You just relax and allow it to flow. That's that. So, okay. So, right. Is there any? I'm not sure if anybody wants to practice. I've got, like, I know Ryan wants to practice. Does anybody else want to practice channeling? So I was going to say, the room that Marie wants to practice as well. So maybe I can put the two of you into a room yourselves, and you can have a wee practice to channel in the two of you, and go back and back. So I would say do about 10 minutes each. Yeah, take your time getting into the channeled state as well. But I do about 10 minutes each, and then I'll let you can jump back in here. Let's see.
Can I ask a question before we start, though?
Yep.
Because I still kind of like get confused in the group when we channel for each other, whether do we just tune into the person and start giving them information, or do we have them ask a question that they want to find out something about, and we tune into that and then give them the information?
It's up to you, because it works differently for all people. You know, like some people in the beginning, they might prefer just giving a reading, just giving you like messages, like a message that comes through. Because you'll see that when some people channel, even like professional channelers, some of them, like, you know, they like giving a message. Like me, I don't do messages so much. It's not that we a channel. I do it. Sometimes the guides will give messages, but I don't do like a message at the beginning and then start channeling. But some people do. So if you feel it might be that way, maybe that's the way the guides work with you, and they give you information first and they share the information. But it's up to you. If you want to do it that way, you can do it. It's a good way to get going, I think, in the beginning, you know, to give a message, even if it's just a short message, because it gets you into your flow, gets you starting to flow. So even if you just take the time, okay, so, I mean, I've never done these before, but what I'd advise you to do is just, if you prefer, right, unless you want to do it a different way, but what I'd advise you to do is just take a moment, okay, do your technique to get yourself into the channel state. And then once you've allowed yourself to open up, okay, you can take a reading from whoever's there. If you want to take a reading from the person's guides, you could take it from the guides. You might just want to reach out and just ask, is there any beings that want to give a message? It's probably the best way to do it. And then just start channeling a message. And if you've opened up and you've asked any beings that want to give a message, can you give me the message, and can you pass, like, you know, allow me to channel the message? If you're waiting and there's nothing happening, what to do is just start talking. It doesn't matter what you say. It doesn't matter. Just say whatever's starting to come into your head. It doesn't matter if it's channeled information or no, because you're starting to get some energy flowing in some way. You know, it's like if you don't open the tap, it's not going to, no energy is going to flow out of it. So you have to start talking, and then you'll find that, you know, information will just start coming into that. It'll start coming in effortlessly. So that's the way I'd advise you to do it, if you want to practice that. Okay. Any other questions before I create these breakout rooms, or this breakout room? All right. Okay, so I'll put Marie and Ryan in the room together. Okay, and you'll be going in now. Okay, so see, do about, don't know, 5 to 10 minutes each, something like that. Just do, I mean, even if you want to do a few minutes each, it's up to yourselves. But yeah, just do what you do as long as you feels right. Okay, and that's okay. That's the way now. Oh, there's Marie now. Okay. So I don't know if there's anything else, anything you just want me to go over, or anything you want me to talk about just now. I mean, it doesn't have to be about channel. We can just have a chat if you want. I don't mind.
I'm good for right now. I think I'm probably going to go in a few because I want to catch up. I need to check the furnace actually and make sure that it's working because it's getting cold in here.
Oh, yeah, no worries. It's Canada. But anyways, you live in, Kim, isn't it? Is it Canada?
Michigan.
Michigan. Oh, sorry, Michigan. It's cold there, like real cold, isn't it?
It's a little bit too cold for my blood.
Yeah, yeah.
My daughter, that's autistic. She loves the cold and she loves the snow, so I don't think I'll ever be able to move.
So you got snow there now?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, wow.
Yeah, what, you're asking if I'm still in Michigan or she's with me?
No, I said, have you got snow there now?
Oh, snow. Yeah, I do, and we haven't had a lot so far this year, so I've been really lucky. But I feel a little guilty when I wish for no snow because she loves the snow so much. She goes out and builds forts and stuff.
Oh, yeah, it's cool.
Yeah. So we've been very lucky with the snow. We do have a little bit, but it hasn't been bad this year.
Yeah, we don't really get snow here. Nowhere I stay anyway. Down south they do, but nowhere where I stay in New Zealand, it's like it's one of the hottest regions. So it's but we're getting a cold summer this year. It's been raining and stuff, which is very strange for summer. So
Oh, really? You don't get a lot of rain in the summer?
no, in the summer, no. So
Oh, wow.
we get droughts and stuff in the summer here, just this
Yeah.
region. So all right,
We get
come
most
on.
of our rain in the spring, but we get a little bit in the summer too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but the spring and summer is my favorite.
Yeah, I like all the seasons. I lived in Thailand for like 6 years, and there's no seasons there. And I used to miss the actual seasons. I used to miss all the changes. And there it's just cooking, man. It's just hot and hot. It's tropical climate.
There's no seasons there?
Nah, you get you get 2 seasons. You get the dry season and the wet season. So you don't get like autumn or anything like that. It's nothing like that. In
That may not
Thailand,
be
they
bad.
say there's 2 weathers in Thailand. They say there's hot and there's hotter. That's what the saying is in Thailand. It's just bacon.
Yeah, it might be a little bit too hot. I don't like it when it gets too hot.
Yeah, it's really hot there. But yeah, I got used to the climate after a while, and I don't mind the heat now.
Yeah.
So you do acclimatise. All right, Kev, if you need to get away, I'll let you get away. I don't want to keep you here.
Alrighty.
All right.
Thank
then.
you again, and we'll catch up with you real soon.
All right, cheers, Cam. You take care now.
Okay, you too. Bye-bye.
Cheers.